Tonight, home buyers north of Toronto are stunned after a developer raises the price after they've already signed the contract.
We want this house built. We don't want to pay more money for it.
They are calling for government intervention after they were told they would need to fork over almost $200,000 more than what was initially agreed upon. Plus,
I would be more happy, extremely happy that they get out of that danger and that hard situation.
1 year after Afghanistan's fall to the Taliban, we hear from refugees who are rebuilding their lives in Toronto while trying to help their families left behind. And
I see my role as a foster mom to the Ward 1 constituents.
Toronto City Council appoints a new interim councillor for Etobicoke North less than a month after their previous choice left the seat in disgrace. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. Buyers at a new housing development north of Toronto say they're being asked to pay almost $200,000 more than the previously agreed upon price. Now, it's another example of a developer raising prices on pre-construction homes after buyers have already signed the sales agreement. It's something the province has pledged to crack down on. And as Ryan Patrick Jones reports, the home buyers in this case are pleading for government intervention.
We paid extra to have a separate entrance put in. My mom's planning on living in the basement.
When they put down their deposit 3 years ago, Jennifer Lefebvre and her family had big plans for their new $600,000 home in Stayner, 90 minutes north of Toronto. First, construction was delayed during the pandemic. Now the developer wants them to pay an extra $175,000.
I was just upset. I felt they wanted me to sign one of these pieces of paper so that they could either resell my home or make more money on it.
CBC News spoke with multiple buyers who say the developer gave them the same ultimatum: pay more or take back your deposit and give up your home.
We had a binding contract at that price, so just build our house at what it was supposed to be built at.
The developer, Briarwood Development Group, blames supply chain issues and rising costs for labor and material, adding it's working with buyers to find a way forward. Earlier this year, Ontario brought in new rules to address developers trying to raise prices on pre-sold homes or cancel purchase agreements.
We are not going to tolerate these types of bad faith, unethical practices.
After CBC News revealed another developer canceled dozens of contracts unless buyers paid more, the province announced companies could face a fine of up to $100,000 or a 2-year license suspension. This real estate lawyer says the government could do more.
It would be very easy for the government to say, you can't cancel projects. You can't add this kind of money to a purchase agreement. If you do, you're going to have to compensate the buyers.
Premier Doug Ford maintains his government is protecting consumers.
We're going to make sure that they aren't allowed to go there and pull the carpet out from underneath them.
The provincial regulator says it's looking into this latest situation, but wouldn't comment on specifics. Ryan Patrick Jones, CBC News, Toronto.
It's been 1 year since Kabul fell to the Taliban, putting the Islamic fundamentalist group back in charge of Afghanistan after a 20-year war. As Marina von Stackelberg tells us, Canadian military veterans are still working to get thousands of Afghans to safety.
1 year ago, this was the scene at the airport in Kabul. Afghans desperate to escape crowd the tarmac and grasp at the sides of a U.S. Air Force plane, some falling to their deaths. American troops and their allies, including the Canadian military, pulled out of Afghanistan.
The Afghan flag being taken down.
The Taliban had already established power in other parts of the country. It swiftly moved in to take Kabul and control of the country, ending a 20-year war.
That's me right there.
Brian McDonald heads up a group of veterans and former interpreters working since then to bring Afghans to Canada.
We watched that terrible situation unfold. We served in Afghanistan with these interpreters, with many of these people that we're trying to help. And, when we were unable to get them out a year ago, it was devastating. But since then, we've come together, we've doubled down, and we've been able to get 3,000 people out.
But it's a slow and dangerous process to get the passports needed to leave.
These people that have helped Canada now have to stand up and go to an office that's controlled by the Taliban and give their name and address and the dates of birth of their children.
This June, Pakistan agreed to a 2-month window. It would let Afghan refugees already approved to come to Canada across its borders without a passport or visa. But so far, few have been able to make the journey.
We were hoping it would be thousands, and it ended up being dozens. We're dealing with the Afghan-Pakistani border, and it's a very wild place, and so messages aren't always clearly communicated, but we believe the window may still be open.
To date, the government says more than 17,000 Afghan refugees have made it safely to Canada. But it's been criticized for abandoning Afghans who assisted Canada in the NATO-led effort. Another 18,000 refugees are still waiting.
I think we can hold our heads up high when we think about our response compared to that of our allies. There's a lot more work to do.
Last month, Canada stopped accepting new applications for its special immigration program for Afghan refugees who helped Canada during the war. McDonald hopes that will change.
We are still grinding away every day, moving people out of Afghanistan, and we're just going to keep doing that until we get as many people out as we possibly can.
Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
Some who managed to escape Afghanistan are rebuilding their lives here in Toronto while trying to help their family members left behind. Talia Ricci has that story.
As Farouz Mohammed serves customers at his pizza shop on the Danforth today, he says his mind is back with his family from Afghanistan.
We are all mentally stressed. Me here, my wife, my kids.
Mohammed was an Afghan interpreter who assisted the Canadian Armed Forces. He's still waiting for his parents to arrive in Canada 1 year later.
They're in Pakistan. They have no valid documents. Still, IRCC is acting very slow to process their documents and give them accommodation.
The situation in Afghanistan over the last year has completely deteriorated.
Organizations like Islamic Relief Canada are still working around the clock to provide help on the ground to people in Afghanistan. But they, along with other groups, say they're facing barriers getting aid to the country.
People have no jobs, no money. Young boys are dropping out of school, and around 19 million people are going to bed hungry almost every day.
The Canadian government says it's working to identify a solution that upholds Canada's national security interests while facilitating the effective delivery of assistance to people in Afghanistan. Those who did manage to escape say today brings mixed feelings.
It's a very sad story how we left my beloved country, but I'm lucky that I'm end up in a lovely country.
Freshta Karimi says she would have been a target because she worked as a human rights and women's activist in Afghanistan. She describes this time last year as chaotic.
We have to find a way to get out of the country. And we were almost hiding ourselves because somehow they were searching houses.
According to federal data, more than 3,500 Afghan refugees chose Toronto as their destination community. The city says it's provided hundreds of people who have arrived from Afghanistan with supports.
If they are destined to be here, they are Torontonians. That's why we focus our time and energy to support the agencies that are already established and are working to provide support to Afghan and other refugees.
Karimi has been settled in Toronto for 10 months with her husband and 2 children. She's trying to remain hopeful that the situation in her home country will improve.
I'm trying not to think about bad things. I'm trying to be very positive and hopeful. Canada, I love it. Sometimes I don't feel, like I feel like home here.
Mohammed hopes his parents will call Canada home soon too.
It's a pretty long time, like they're living in a jail. It's similar to a jail because they can't go out.
Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
It's a day of celebration in India as the citizens mark 75 years of independence from British rule. Here in Toronto, festivities were also underway tonight to mark the occasion.
So it's important that you celebrate with the Indo-Canadians on an important day on their calendar so that they know we're all in this together and that we've learned from them and that the differences make us stronger.
Hundreds attended the event, many of them in orange, white, and green, the colors of the Indian flag. Britain ruled the Indian subcontinent from 1858 until the independence of India and Pakistan in 1947. Let's go to Dahlia Ashry now with a first look at your forecast. And Dahlia, coming off of a beautiful sunny weekend, what do you have in store for us this week?
It was a dry weekend and a dry start to the Monday, but as we head into the next few days, well, things are about to get more damp and a risk of thunderstorm as well for the next few days. But sunshine is around the corner. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. The daytime highs in Toronto, 27 degrees, Windsor, 28. The cool spot in the region is Barrie, 25 degrees. Now, are we expecting any rain tonight? No, we are not. But as we head into tomorrow morning, we're starting to see that cloud coverage coming through. And then around 3 p.m., there is that precipitation activity coming through as well. And that will go on for the next few days up until Thursday. As you can see, there's that cloud coverage, and we'll get into more detail about that later. But what to expect for tonight? Well, temperatures will drop to 17 degrees. As we head into tomorrow, it will be 27 degrees. It will feel like 30, and there's a 40% chance of rain and a risk of a thunderstorm. So make sure you have your umbrellas ready.
Thanks so much, Dahlia. Lisa Laflamme is out as chief anchor at CTV National News.
On June 29th, I was informed that Bell Media made a, quote, business decision to end my contract, bringing to a sudden close my long career with CTV News.
Laflamme saying in a video posted to social media today that she was blindsided by the move. She's been with CTV for over 3 decades. CTV saying the decision to end Laflamme's contract was due to changing viewer habits. Omar Sachedina, who joined CTV in 2009, will take her place as chief anchor. A new interim councillor has been appointed to represent Ward 1 Etobicoke North. Now, did that give you deja vu? Because City Council had appointed someone just last month. But after that councillor resigned in disgrace, there's hope this latest appointment will stick. Ali Chiasson has this story.
Ward 1, Etobicoke North, has had a revolving door of city councillors in recent months. It was Michael Ford's ward since 2018 until he made the move to provincial politics in the most recent election, joining his premier uncle as the Minister of Multiculturalism. In his place, City Hall appointed Rosemary Bryan, but her tenure as councillor lasted only a few hours after several homophobic social media posts were uncovered by Canada Land's Jonathan Goldsby. Fast forward to today, 17 candidates made their pitch to be the interim councillor.
Today I'm here to show that my work in the front lines of health, my lived experience, and local impact in the community makes me the best candidate for the interim councillor.
This afternoon, we heard from new voices with fresh perspectives about what Ward 1 needs.
It is a diverse community. It is a vibrant community. Yet it is a community that is in desperate need of social assistance. Business investment, revitalization, public support, and a representative that speaks to the needs of the ward and its proud constituents.
In a ward that's so culturally diverse, for solutions to come about, we need someone who is not afraid of challenging the status quo.
But the nod went to experience.
I've been a public servant for 40 years with the provincial and municipal levels of government.
Rose Milchin worked for the city's Municipal Licensing and Standards Division for 18 years.
They say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, similarly, I believe it takes partnerships to sustain a diverse and vibrant community such as Ward 1.
The votes were tallied and...
Madam Speaker, I declare that Rose Milchin is appointed as councillor for Ward 1, Etobicoke North, for the remainder of this term of council.
So the gig is only for about 70 days from now until the upcoming election. Just how effective an interim councillor can be in that short period of time is yet to be seen, but surely some consistency might be good for Ward 1. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
CBC reached out to Michael Ford on Milchin's new appointment. In a statement, he said, quote, I had the privilege and honor of serving the great people and diverse communities of Ward 1 on Toronto City Council. I would like to congratulate newly appointed councillor Rose Milchin and wish her the best of luck. An old Canada Post office on Queen Street has been granted heritage designation by this city.
Opposed, if any, carried.
This was an incredibly encouraging moment because we see that city staff, city councillors are behind the idea of keeping some community use, keeping the significance of the building, its physical appearance, and all of the kind of valuable attributes.
The 119-year-old building was sold last summer to a developer for an undisclosed price. And now that it has heritage status, there's a push to make it a neighborhood hub. The developer can appeal today's decision, so advocates say this is just one step in a long road to try and carve some community into the old post office. Education assistants, clerical staff, early childhood educators and other school workers is rejecting the latest offer from the province. And the clock is ticking. The agreement between the two sides expires at the end of this month. The ministry says it's tabled a fair deal, but as Farah Morali tells us, both sides still appear to be far apart.
What we know is the province tabled an offer to the union today. It's an offer which it says it believes is fair and reasonable. In a statement, the Ministry of Education said it's offering up to an 8.24% increase in salaries over 4 years. But the head of CUPE's Ontario School Boards Council of Unions says that doesn't paint a full picture. Laura Walton says what the government is offering translates into a 2% salary increase every year for those who make less than $40,000. Those who make more than $40,000 a year would get a 1.25% increase. And she says the vast majority of their workers make less than $50,000.
Really what it works out to is about 35 to 55 cents an hour increase to these workers, which is not enough. These are men and women who have been frontline during the pandemic, who are working second and third jobs, the majority of them, in order to make ends meet. They have food insecurity, they have housing insecurity as a result of their wages.
Remember, these workers include everyone from clerical staff to early childhood educators and librarians. One of the things that Walton said the union believes is missing from the latest proposal is a commitment to maintain staffing levels, specifically funding to keep those levels where they're at or even improve them. Now, from the government's perspective, we did hear from Minister Stephen Lecce in a statement. He said one of the things that's important to the government is to maintain stability. He issued a statement which said, "We have indicated our intention for a longer deal to ensure stability for families and to allow 4 years of uninterrupted learning recovery as kids get back on track academically, mentally, and physically. We have tabled a deal that is reasonable, provides fair compensation, and will ensure stability for parents and students over the course of a 4-year term." Now, the government also maintains that salaries have been consistently at or above levels of inflation. That's despite what we are hearing from CUPE and the union. Now, according to the union, the next round of talks between both sides isn't scheduled until the end of August. Meanwhile, members of the union are meeting this weekend. At this point, Walton says they're not ruling out the possibility of a strike vote. Farah Morali, CBC News, Toronto.
Premier Doug Ford spoke at the Association of Municipalities of Ontario conference today, saying strong mayor powers will be expanded to more municipalities.
Building more homes is at the top of the list. In the coming months, we'll have more information on how these tools will be expanded to other municipalities, so more municipal leaders like yourselves can help build Ontario.
Last week, Housing Minister Steve Clark introduced the Strong Mayor legislation as a way to get more houses built. The bill would allow the mayors of Toronto and Ottawa to override council approval of bylaws, specifically when it comes to housing development. And you are looking at a live shot of the Toronto skyline, mainly clear tonight with some cloudy periods overnight. Currently a comfortable 24 degrees in the city. Let's go back to Dahlia now with a more detailed look at your forecast. And Dahlia, we have some rain headed our way.
Well, you didn't need your umbrella today, but you might need it over the next few days, so make sure you have it ready. I mean, the damp conditions are expected over Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and a risk of thunderstorms over the next few days. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is that sunshine that will be coming through at the end of the week. Now, the daytime highs in Toronto, 27 degrees. Same thing in Oshawa. The cool spot in the region, 25 degrees in Barrie, and Windsor was more so on the warmer side. It was 28 degrees. Now, are we expecting rain tonight? And the answer is no. Enjoy the dry conditions while it lasts. That will be more so tomorrow. There's 40% chance of scattered showers, not on your way to work for your commute. That will be dry. It's more so probably on your way back home from work. So around 3 o'clock, as we can see here, there is some precipitation. There is that activity coming through. And we see it even south of the border. It's even heavier. There's even heavy thunderstorms right there. Now that will increase and that will continue as we head into the evening, 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday. As we head into Wednesday, more so clear skies, and then we start to see those clouds coming through on your way to work. And then in the afternoon, again, it will pick up and there is a risk of a thunderstorm. You see that yellow activity, that is the risk of a thunderstorm that we can be expecting, and scattered showers, heavier rainfall around 5 o'clock on Wednesday and throughout the evening, and a risk of a thunderstorm on Wednesday evening. Now what to expect overnight tonight? It'll be 17 degrees, partially cloudy. As we head into tomorrow afternoon, 27 degrees, a risk of a thunderstorm, 40% chance of rain, and it will feel like 30 degrees. Tonight, temperatures, like I said, will cool down to 17 degrees, Mississauga 15, and same thing in Hamilton. And then, like I said, dry conditions mostly on Friday. Lovely sunshine there, but for the rest of the week, mostly damp. So make sure you have your umbrellas ready because you're going to need them. Kelda?
Thanks for the tip. Thanks so much, Del. Work is underway on new elevators and a new entrance at the TTC's museum station. The work means lane restrictions will be in place on Queen's Park between Bloor West and Queen's Park Circle. The station itself will remain open and pedestrian access will be maintained along Queen's Park. The $26 million upgrade is scheduled to be finished by the end of 2024. And in the East End, the TTC is limiting subway service this week for track repairs. Starting today, subway service between Woodbine and Kennedy stations will end at 11 p.m. Shuttle buses will operate in its place. The TTC says regular service will resume on Friday. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Finally tonight, the YMCA on Kingston Road is officially opening its doors after years of construction.
Y has been here since the 50s. It was the former site of the East City YMCA. We knew that this neighborhood needs something bigger and more modern. That's why we are here with a bigger Y and hopefully providing what the community needs.
Yeah. We've been looking forward to it for the last couple of years for sure.
Instead of staying inside during COVID.
The newly renovated 60,000 square foot space is on Kingston near Victoria Park Avenue. It has a pool, gym, and fitness studios offering a variety of classes. The gym and pool also have equipment for people with different types of abilities. And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I will have your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. Have a great night, everyone.